What would you actually do if a doctor sat you down and told you that you have stage 4 colon cancer? Not stage 1, not a polyp they caught early. Stage 4, the kind that's already spread. Most people freeze, they panic, they listen to whatever their oncologist says, and never ask a single question about nutrition. And here's the part that should make you angry. When patients do ask their doctors what they should eat, the answer is almost always the same. It doesn't really matter. Just eat whatever you can keep down. That might be the most dangerous sentence in modern medicine, because what you eat either feeds cancer or it starves cancer. There is no neutral. And today we're going to break down a rotating diet strategy specifically designed to keep colon cancer under constant metabolic stress. We'll cover the 4 root causes most people never hear about, and a fasting approach that even late-stage patients can use. Before we get into the strategy, you need to understand something fundamental about cancer that changes everything. Cancer is heterogeneous. That's a fancy way of saying it's not one disease. Every tumor has different genetic weaknesses, uses different fuel sources, and interacts with your immune system in different ways. This is exactly why there's no single magic diet that works for all cancers. Anyone telling you otherwise is either lying or uninformed. But there is a principle that works across nearly all of them. It comes down to one massive vulnerability. Cancer cells are metabolically inflexible. Let that sink in. Your healthy cells can switch between burning glucose, burning fat, burning ketones. They're adaptable. Cancer cells are not. They get locked into one fuel source, and they struggle enormously to switch. Most of them are hooked on glucose. Some advanced cancers can also run on fats and ketones, but the transition is where they're weakest. That weakness is exactly what we're going to exploit. Here's what most people don't realize. Cancer is already sick. It's not this invincible force people imagine. It's a damaged cell running on a broken energy system, barely surviving. The origin of cancer traces back to damaged mitochondria. Those are the energy factories inside every cell in your body. When mitochondria get damaged beyond repair, the cell doesn't just die. It switches to an ancient backup energy pathway called glycolysis. Think of it as Plan B. The problem with Plan B is that it's wildly inefficient. The cancer cell can barely produce enough energy to survive, so what does it do? It compensates by growing rapidly, dividing like crazy, hogging massive amounts of glucose, and stealing resources from the rest of your body. This is actually why PET scans work. They detect areas where glucose consumption is abnormally high. That bright spot on the scan? That's cancer, desperately feeding. So the goal isn't simply to starve the cancer, it's to stress it, relentlessly, from every possible angle. You want to keep the pressure on so it can't grow, can't adapt, and eventually shrivels up and dies. You do that by rotating your approach so the cancer never gets comfortable. Now let's talk about where colon cancer actually comes from, because understanding the root causes changes your entire prevention and treatment strategy. There are 4 major drivers. Number 1, chronic insulin resistance. This is the big one. When your body can't properly respond to insulin, your pancreas pumps out more and more of it. That excess insulin acts like a growth hormone for tumors. It literally signals cells to grow. This is why diabetics have significantly higher cancer rates. It's not a coincidence. It's biochemistry. If you want to correct metabolic inflexibility, you have to fix insulin resistance first. That means a low-carb, ketogenic approach becomes absolutely essential. Number 2, chronic inflammation. Cancer migrates toward inflamed tissue like a parasite seeking a weakened host. Inflamed tissue is low in oxygen, and cancer thrives in low-oxygen environments. Think about chronic smokers. Years of damage create scar tissue in the lungs, dropping oxygen levels, creating the perfect breeding ground. Number 3, chronic microbiome disruption. If your gut bacteria have been wrecked by years of processed food, antibiotics, or even just never being breastfed as an infant, your cancer defenses are compromised. Your microbiome does far more than digest food. It actively protects you against cancer in ways most doctors never discuss with patients. Drop a comment if you've taken antibiotics multiple times and never thought about what that did to your gut. Most people haven't. Number 4. Chronic toxicity, alcohol, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, smoking. It's not the one-time exposure that gets you. It's the chronic, daily, low-level poisoning that accumulates over decades. Combine 2 or 3 of these root causes and your risk multiplies dramatically. Here's the connection most people miss. All 4 of these root causes damage the same thing: your mitochondria. That's the common thread. Yes, some people have genetic susceptibilities, but genetics alone don't cause cancer. You need the environmental triggers to push it over the edge. Having a genetic weakness doesn't mean cancer is inevitable. It means you need to be smarter about protecting your mitochondria. Now let's talk about something specific to colon cancer that makes it unique. Colon cells get their primary fuel from a compound called butyrate. Butyrate is produced when certain gut microbes eat fiber and ferment it. It strengthens the intestinal lining, feeds colon cells directly, and acts as a powerful anti-inflammatory. This is where the "eat more fiber to prevent colon cancer" advice comes from. It's partially true, but there's a paradox nobody talks about. Fiber can also make things worse. For some people, fiber causes severe bloating, inflammation, and irritation. People with SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, often do far better on a carnivore diet with 0 fiber. Why? Because their microbiome is so disrupted that they don't have the right bacteria to properly break down fiber. 2 people can eat the exact same meal. One feels fine. The other feels like they swallowed a balloon. The difference isn't willpower or sensitivity. It's which microbes you carry and where they're located in your gut. So what about fasting? Here's the rule. The worse the cancer prognosis, the more aggressive the fasting needs to be. Prolonged fasting cuts off fuel to cancer cells, while putting them under extreme metabolic stress. Some people have done extended fasts of 30 to 40 days and eliminated their cancer entirely. But not everyone can handle prolonged fasting, especially patients already losing weight. That's where the fasting mimicking diet comes in. You consume between 700 and just over 1,000 calories per day, keeping protein low, carbs low, and fat low. Your body enters a fasting-like metabolic state while you're still eating enough to maintain some weight. If you don't have cancer, doing periodic 3 to 5 day fasting cycles is one of the most powerful preventive strategies that exist. Cancer simply cannot survive in a fasting state. Now here's the rotating diet strategy. This is designed to keep cancer constantly off balance so it never adapts to a single nutritional environment. Phase 1 lasts 3 to 5 days. You eat vegetable soup with good salt, cold-pressed olive oil, or avocado oil, steamed zucchini, spinach, small portions of olives or avocado. That's it. No fish, no meat, no eggs, no cheese, no grains, no sugar. You're severely restricting every possible fuel source. In advanced cancer, tumor cells can survive on fats and ketones too, not just glucose. So this phase keeps everything low. Phase 2 runs 7 to 14 days. You shift to moderate protein, moderate fat. Omega-3 fats from fish oil, especially cod liver oil, are allowed here. You control carbohydrates tightly. Every food in this phase contains polyphenols and compounds that actively fight cancer through different mechanisms. This phase supports your colon while continuing to pressure tumor cells. Phase 3 is another 3 to 5 days. Now you increase protein to 6 to 8 ounces per meal while keeping fat moderate. You don't go high fat because advanced cancers can start feeding on dietary ketones. That's different from the ketones your body produces during fasting, which remain safe. You stay low carb throughout. Then you rotate back to phase 1, over and over. The cancer starts adapting to one metabolic environment, and you pull the rug out. It never gets stable footing. On top of this rotation, there are key nutrients that support the entire strategy. Vitamin D3 at a minimum of 30,000 IUs daily. Vitamin D is the single most important nutrient for immune function, and it directly supports mitochondrial health. If you can get sunlight, even better. Sunlight delivers infrared frequencies that heal cells through an entirely different pathway than vitamin D alone. Zinc, omega-3 fatty acids, turmeric, cruciferous vegetables, green tea, fermented foods like sauerkraut if you can tolerate them, and oxygen, as much as you can get. Whether that's a hyperbaric chamber, vigorous walking, or deep breathing exercises, cancer hates oxygen. The entire strategy comes down to this: support the body. Support the mitochondria, support the immune system, protect your muscle mass, fix gut fermentation. Keep the cancer under constant, rotating metabolic pressure, so it never gets a chance to settle in and grow. One last thing. Everything we just covered about the 4 root causes, the rotating diet, the fasting protocols, it all connects back to one underlying problem that affects hundreds of millions of people worldwide: chronic insulin resistance. Fix that, and you cut off cancer's favorite growth signal at the source. If this changed how you think about cancer and nutrition, subscribe. We break down what the health industry won't tell you every single week.